where 12 of the 14 goals in the match have been scored so far. And they want to make the most of it in this third term. Doesn't seem to be a windy night, but certainly the bulk of the scoring done at one particular end. Umpire Castle calling for another ball up after a crush. And again, it's Rendell, and Mossop. Rendell favoured by that one. And a decisive victory. But straight to Arceri. Poor kick. Loken put the Roys into attack.
No word, he made pace that time. That was a wonderful pace by Loken. Back it goes. Mossop in front position. Mossop doesn't hold it long enough. Plays on. He's tackled when not in possession and will take a free kick. And John Mossop, after a good game last week, a very poor one first up, gets it across to Crocker. Crocker sends it out towards centre wing position. Nobody wants to go for that one. Blakey behind the pack, kicks it under pressure. Armstrong fights for it out towards the boundary line, gets it back into play, but it was too late. Out of bounds. Fitzroy in attack on the half-forward flank on the outer side.
North Melbourne have commenced each of the quarters so far with an early goal. They haven't been into attack in the first 70 seconds of this one. The Roys are deep, though. Here's Conlon. He's missed. Just gets it behind. Fitzroy's fourth only. They lead by 8 points.
Is Conlon the sort of player that sometimes the team is very disappointed in with his lack of ability to hand pass quickly, Bernie?
It's an area that Mick used to be very weak on, but he did work on his game last year a lot, and his handball did come into play.
Very clever play, Dwyer out to Crocker. Dwyer again. He's a magical player in form. Cleverly out to Schimmelbusch, to Demetrio, who's been a solid contester. Down towards the half-forward line, over the back from Steele, beaten by Thornton. Thornton centres it to Harris. Harris was almost off, gives it across to McIver. McIver's a long kick and drives it out. Lovely kick it was too. Taken over there very, very nicely by Armstrong.
Could have been play on there, I thought, Doug.
It could have easily, yes. Lovely kick. Oh, a beautiful pass. And certainly this is the end, but both teams have looked so impressive. And there's been some enormous kicking from McCann and Barwick, and Bill Loken kicked a very big one, all down at this scoreboard end, or the non-scoreboard end, actually. Let's watch now Douglas Barwick.
I think Bernie would fancy him from this distance.
Who's about 45, almost 50 metres out, makes the distance, makes the accuracy, and kicks his own third goal.
Yes, there's no worries about the distance there with Doug. It's only the accuracy, and he doesn't miss many really from 40, 45 metres out. Just looking at the flag on top of the outer over there, it seems to be favouring this end rather strongly now, the wind. So not much breeze up here, but there must be a fair bit out on the ground.
There it comes again now.
Here's Armstrong. I thought the umpire could have called play on there when he went to, he feinted the handball.
Lovely delivery first by McIver to hit Armstrong, and there's the lead from Barwick. Away to the left of frame, and perfect pass.
His opponent was a good 10-15 metres away from him.
That's an important goal. Fitzroy by 14 points. Harris kicks the ball into his own man. Arceri, great contester, the little man. Tackled high by another little one in Harris. Both got giant hearts. And Arceri takes the free. Quick pass, doesn't gain any ground with his 12th kick. Mossop has to unload in a hurry. Loken. Roos. 18 possessions to the champ. And now the skipper, Rendell, just backward of the centre line. Roos has been best and fairest in the last 2 years, and Rendell in 82-83. Crocker, good, well-balanced mark despite a bit of a nudge from Keane.
Number 27, a very famous number at North Melbourne, is worn by Keith Gregg. And Crocker wearing it with distinction. Blakey in front. Arceri fights for it, so does Demetrio. Out it comes to McIver. McIver with his left foot, and well manoeuvred is Barwick. An unlucky bounce. Battling with him is Spargo. Good play, Keane. Keane's awkward, and it's bouncing through. That was the luckiest goal that I've seen from many, many a long goal. You wouldn't believe it. It bounced on and on and on. And Keane, when he kicked it, was almost on the boundary line, that indicating how severe the angle was. Here it is.
Yeah, well, luck's a fortune, isn't it, Doug? Really, Keane didn't even line up the goals. He was just lucky to get it onto his boot very quickly, and got a very favourable bounce. There he is now, picks it up, didn't even look at the goals, just happy to get it onto his boot. Had a lovely little leg break on it and ran through.
That's a miracle. So, Fitzroy with 2 goals to start the term in 5 minutes, leading by 20 points. It's a good break. Dwyer, Arsiri, Demetrio there to assist. Well, got to be a free kick. Never in possession of the ball. And Richard Osborne brought him down in no uncertain manner. Kicks from about 65 metres out. Plenty of defenders up. Pekin, Roos. So much time. That ball hit him before he knew it was onto him, and yet he still recovered it. Thornton to Loken to Conlon, and away he goes. 60 metres out, and he doesn't look for a teammate. He goes all the way. Conlon gets his 3rd, and Fitzroy running riot again. 3 goals in 6 minutes, and they lead by 26 points at the 6-minute mark of the 3rd term.
Yes, after being very evenly balanced at half-time, this is a very important part of the game now, and Fitzroy have got the jump on North Melbourne. They're running the ball well out of the back line. Conlon takes a nice mark. His opponent was off balance. Away he goes. He kicked it from a good 55, 60 metres out, and the wind must be definitely favouring the end Fitzroy's kicking to.
That's his 350th goal in league football too, Bernie, so that's a great effort as German gets it out of the centre. Nicely picked up and on to Graham Osborne. Graham Osborne downfield, Johnny Law in front, took 2 bites at what had only been 1, but still took the mark. Yes, Conlon played 185 games, that is including today, kicked 350 goals. Down to the centre of the ground it goes. Nice football there by Holt. In front McCann, awkward bounce favours Thornton. Thornton put the ball very quickly, out to Graham Osborne. He's got a long hand pass across this clever football, and on from McIver's Butte. Richard Osborne goes the run, sends it straight to Law, who takes another juggling mark.
Very good mark. It was an awkwardly curling ball. He really had to work hard to hold onto it. From half-back with North in trouble, down by 26 points. Dwyer had to fly against the big ones and did well, but the Roys recapture it. Keane from behind was the leaper. Spargo, well smothered. Now it's Fitzroy tackling harder, and Conlon was the man doing the heavy work then. And they're doing the things that North were doing in the 2nd quarter.
Lovely football. Beautiful interception by Pekin just before it when he pushed the ball away. In comes Keane and battles with Mossop, taken by Armstrong. Armstrong kicks out wide to Loken. Loken looks for a long hand pass to Rendell. Rendell goes downfield and kicks it very badly. Scott gets it nicely, turns and gets it across to Leon Harris. Harris out wide, and you're in trouble, look out. And Hinckley's too slow. Leon Harris battles through, hooks it back towards centre half forward. Underneath it, a good leap, and here he comes again. And Barwick puts it through. A magnificent snap goal. And Douglas Barwick enjoyed that one. He's jumping up and down. And what a beautiful goal from Barwick. He's really proving himself a find. He's kicked 10 goals in 2 matches, and 4 today. That's 14.
Yeah, good battling stuff by Leon Harris to get the ball down to the forward line. Rendell had to sit. Flies with a big pack of players. The North Melbourne player was in the box seat, but Barwick chipped in and kicked a magnificent goal on the run.
They've done well from Tasmania, the Roys, with Barwick.
They have. They've recruited
Hinchin,
very well.
Clayton,
Yeah.
Armstrong in this match. And 9 minutes into the quarter, Fitzroy have slammed on 4 goals and kicked away to what might be a match-winning lead. Holt under pressure. So's Demetrio. Sandwiched. Dwyer. Well delivered. Good tackle on German. And German, who looked so good in the first half, looks like a man who suddenly has lost his confidence. And a throw in on the wing, but that's what pressure does.
Yes, he had a super 2nd quarter in particular, did German. Mossop does it pretty nicely again. McRae in lots of trouble. German right on the boundary line, kicks it out of bounds. And the free kick will go to Fitzroy on half-back flank. Over the immaculate Mr. Roos, the hero of the Fitzroy lineup. The umpire says, no, you can't have it, Paul. You've had enough kicks. We'll give it to Richard Osborne. And Roos, the top possession getter on the ground. Osborne kicks a thumping 70-metre one. A good punch over the line there from Ross Smith. It's out of bounds. Fitzroy's half-forward flank.
It's not the play they really need, though, Duck. Those long bombs down to the forward line don't really give the forwards much of a chance.
32 points the margin. Mossop doing his share of holding. Crocker back to the wing. German fairly well pressured again, forcing a poor kick. And Rendell, great mark. Richard Osborne back whence it came. Everyone up. Best to recover Keane. Bad hand pass. Stop Roos in his tracks. Pekin. Fitzroy at the ball in numbers. Armstrong, big left footer. Oh, a bit of a nudge. No free kick, and Scott has the mark. 35 metres out. Bit lucky.
Well, Tim, there's definitely a slight nudge there where the umpire judged it to be severe enough to pay a free kick. Well, obviously he didn't, but here it is. Scotty's got the shot for goal.
The left footer, the lanky left footer, is inaccurate.
And most unlike Mark Scott too, because he's an excellent shot for goal and rarely misses.
Might be a bit of justice there. To say it was a slight nudge, Byrne, I think it was a fairly strong one, actually.
Well, it's the full forwards club. They stick together.
Don't blame them. They get most against them, I guess. Crocker, excellent mark. Ross Smith gets away from Richard Osborne, sends it long out towards Fairley. Roos there punches away from him. Lovely anticipation by Blakey, but lost the run of it. Fighting for it was Fairley. Ball Fitzroy again through McIver, out to Roos. Roos dodges them all on hand passes, absolutely beautifully to Pekin. Pekin to Richard Osborne, sends it long looking for Scott. Over the back it goes, and Scott was pushed out. And Scott gets the free kick. And there's some North Melbourne supporters who think there ain't any justice around.
Well, Mark Scott made sure the umpire saw it too. He did the old Bob Johnson. I can even remember him, Doug, when he used to take those guys.
There's no one better than big, long Bob than lurking in the pocket and coming out as if he'd been pushed in the back by a 6-ton truck. In comes Scotty, sends for goal with a left footer that looks pretty good. No, just off direction again. And Mark Scott, who I think started football as a full forward, is not showing any full forward finesse in kicking for goal. 12-6 to 6-8.
And those two could have been really handy for Fitzroy.
A great football god ruled in North Melbourne's favour. Steele tackled high and gets a free. On the half-back line, Darren Steele very quiet in the first quarter. Better in the second, as were most of his teammates. But they're struggling at the moment. Oh, he puts Crocker under immense pressure. He gets a free kick. Luckily, against Thornton for a high tackle, and it looks as though it certainly was there, because that hurt. And the fresh-faced youngster, who does so well to hold down centre-half back, takes his 8th kick. Mossop, he did some nudging though, and he'll lose it. It's taken off him.
He better hurry up too.
And Keane takes it on the centre line, and Fitzroy mounting another attack. Scott from behind, got the hands on him. Oh, bad bounce for Shimmer. Pressure from Scott and from Armstrong. And a throw-in. Forward pocket for the Roys, who aren't letting it out of their attacking half. And their supporters are loving it.
They'll need the lead. They're kicking enormous distances, which indicates what you said, Bernie. The wind is quite strong down there. The kicking is prodigious with this breeze. Mossop looks for free. Umpire says play on. The free is the advantage for Ilda Spargo. Up goes Roos and takes a beautiful mark again. That's his 9th mark, Paul Roos. Delivers to perfection as usual. Out it goes to Keane. Keane gives it back to Roos, and off he goes. Sends it down towards the full forward zone. Mossop in front. Scott combats him. Mossop plays on very strongly. Kicks it very high. Blakey underneath it goes for the punch. Punches it downfield through the legs of a Fitzroy player. And nobody can break away, and eventually it's picked up and driven out by Schimmelbusch. Here comes Dwyer and Demetrio. Demetrio hugs the boundary line with that left footer and did it pretty well. German looks pretty slow trying to make up ground, and Thornton's first over the line.
There's one of the not so well populated sections of VFL Park. There are others which are a bit more populous. Rendell beats McCann. McIver, Harris, well done off the ground, 40 metres of it. Crocker, Mossop, Schimmelbusch. Steele on the centre line. And Law up to Phil Cracker. Oh, well played, Hinchin, but Cracker is just so good. Allison from a long way. He's off direction. And when North Melbourne badly needed a goal, he gives them a behind. Their first score of the quarter, and that took 15.5 minutes.
As usual, it was going to go to Roos, then short to Pekin, which was good football. Pekin then drives on the Roos direction. Ackley comes out to take him on. Now it's Law, and Law's very content to just push it over the line. It's out of bounds in centre wing position. But Roos is the focal point. Any time Fitzroy players can see the opportunity to boot it his way, and not often does he disappoint them. He's taken 9 very fine marks tonight. Up goes Keane, gets it down nicely. Well picked up Demetrio, runs into a strong tackle, kicked off the ground by Stevenson. And there's some arms and bodies and legs and bodies falling all over the ball, and it'll be another bounce.
And there's Tim Pekin getting up off the bottom of the pack, and he's been a very good player for Fitzroy.
McCann wins, but not accurately. Harris back to half forward. Mossop kicked behind the play there, not doing the ruck work. Perhaps they've decided to have him lurk back in defence as an extra man, kicking into the wind. No free there for holding the man. None for a push in the back, and finally a ball up. The scoring, incidentally, 16 goals to 2. 16 at that scoring end to 2 at the other end. Now that's an average of a good 5 per quarter to less than 1 per quarter at the non-scoring end. So the margin not a match-winning one yet.
Yes, it was 5-4 to 1-1 in the last quarter when North Melbourne did it all with the breeze. Strong play, Law. On the boundary line was pushed. Gets it down, Leon Harris. Drives it straight to Mossop. Had to kick quickly, nobody there. Mossop then puts it back in the Leon Harris. And the mark is taken by the little man. Gets it across to Thornton. Thornton will send it long, looking for Scott. Scott in position, good mark. Too big and too strong for Crocker. And he really didn't push and shove that time. He used all his bulk to perfection, and Mark Scott takes a very telling mark. He's kicked 2 points in this term, and I don't think there's much doubt that he'll register this one for the Lions. It'll be his first goal, and the Lions 13th at the 17.5-minute mark of the third term. But the match is still wide open. He's pretty pleased with that one, Bernie.
Leon Harris again. He's got the ball moving out of the centre line, down to Ross Thornton. And what a long kick today. That wind must be fairly strong. And Mark Scott, that's probably where he excels most, in the body one-on-one sort of situation where he can use his strength and big frame to lean against his opponent and take the mark. 39
points. It might be still open, Doug, but if they kick another couple in this quarter, it's just about closed. And Parkin must be very pleased with the Roys' effort. 5 goals to 1 behind in this term. 39-point lead, and Rendell wins again. Steele, as North badly need 1 or 2 to get some momentum. Graham Osborne, he's done well in this term. To half forward, Schimmelbusch having his hands full with Conlon. Law from behind the wing puts North into attack for one of the rare occasions in the quarter. And the throw-in to take place about 90 metres from goal, so a long way to go. And Jimmy Cracker serving out the second week and last of his period of suspension. He's looking forward to getting back to try and assist the ailing Kangaroos.
What a soulful look from James Cracker, the best and fairest of their last year. Wonderful smother again. It was Pekin, and he's tackled Arceri and tackled him strongly. Incidentally, I noticed Paul Roos has got yet another opponent. Steve McCann's now at centre-half forward. And Roos is the stumbling block for nearly every team that ever plays against Fitzroy. At centre-half back, he's football perfection. Up goes McCann, nicely pushed over by Graham Osborne. Fitzroy's half-forward flank and Fitzroy, North Melbourne's half-forward flank. Fitzroy 13-6 to North Melbourne's 6-9.
McCann held his own against Rendell. Oh, good bump by Ross Smith. Lets in Arceri, and that was a beauty which left the victim sprawled on the turf and not moving. Thornton clears the ball. Oh, great leap by Richard Osborne, and wins the ball to Harris in superb style. And the Roys have got something going. Loken from 50 metres. Good-looking kick. Can't go much closer. And Doug Barwick, who's kicked 4, had a sniff of his 5th. But Loken's kick just carried too far and missed by centimetres. Fitzroy's 14th goal.
He could have run on further too, Bill Loken. I don't know why he didn't. Out it goes to Spargo. Spargo downfield, a good spoil there by Keane against Allison. Here comes German. German then hand passes out towards Steele. Back it goes to German. German on the boundary line looks for the half-forward McCann. McCann and Roos fight for it, and coming Fitzroy players everywhere, but the ball beats them over the line. It's out of bounds on that outer half-forward flank where we've seen it bottled up a bit.
21 minutes gone. 5 goals to none. Fitzroy's way in this term. McCann. McIver. Well tackled. Penalised. Free kick to McRae. Between wing and half forward. And North would give just about anything for a goal right now. But Roos just won't let it past. However, his kick falls into the arms of Schimmelbusch. 15 metres his way. Brings him into the attacking half. Kennedy speechless. And Schimmer goes a little indirectly out towards the flank. Thornton. Pekin. The immaculate one, Roos to Harris. Back into attack. Barwick beat off Spargo in mercurial fashion. Loken again. And here go the Lions once more. Not such a good kick. Hinckley running onto it, one of their few quiet ones. Parkin's shown faith in him all night, but not much he could do there.
No, Kent's had a very quiet night, but I thought Billy Loken probably could have done a little bit more than he did with that kick.
Yes, he seemed to be just kicking to space, but I couldn't quite understand what his plan was, Bernie. Mossop won this one very well. Out towards Crocker. Crocker boots it to centre wing position. In front, it's all North Melbourne. John Holt had a quiet time, hasn't seen much of the ball. This man's seen a hell of a lot of the ball. His name is Paul Roos, mark number 10. Steve McCann, his opponent.
3 Brownlow votes tonight, perhaps.
I think a big chance, yeah. Over the back it goes. Harris goes bustling up it, gives it to Rendell. Rendell then kicks it downfield looking for Conlon. Conlon almost took a very good one. Picked up and driven down by Dwyer. Underneath it, Rendell again, but he let his own teammate go. That was good football, and the mark is nicely taken by the clever Thornton.
My word, there was a trainer who was almost sandwiched by 5 players flying for that mark, and he was scurrying for cover. Thornton to half forward. Armstrong slid the tackle, which made it high. I think he's a bit lucky. He's outside 50 metres, a good 60 from goal. Tremendous first quarter. He's had a dozen kicks, and he's a lovely long kick. Long distance. My word, it was just offline. I'm not sure whether that was touched, and it almost off break through for a goal.
I think Mossop missed that altogether. So if that had been accurate, it would have been through for a 6-pointer.
Hinckley off the ground now.
Out to Spargo. There's no doubt that Armstrong's got that precious ingredient, got wonderful pace. I think he'll be a player. Spargo down to centre wing position. In front is Holmes. Tackling him is Pekin. Well played, Holmes. It's hard to get around Pekin. Holmes do to downfield to Richard Osborne. No, it's Graham Osborne. John Holt. Very fine mark by Graham Osborne. Underneath it is Law. Thornton takes him on beautifully with courage. Oh, good play. Through comes Hinchin. Hinchin drives downfield looking for Scott, but Crocker's in front of him. But the ball will beat him over the line out of bounds. And Hinchin is a very courageous and a very good player for Fitzroy.
Darren Crocker just throwing the ball away there, taking a bit of a risk, tempting fate. No action from the umpire. Mossop the knock, but straight to Harris. Great snap! That is a great goal, and they've kicked some beauties in this third quarter, but none better. And the margin now 47 points, and it would take a very good team to come back and win from there, even with the win.
done. There's Mossop.
Yeah, Leon Harris rode very well there. He knows where the goals are, Leon. Pretty much the same as Bernie, Harris's brother. And an excellent snap. And, that's opened up a big lead for Fitzroy now. And North Melbourne would do well if they can get back into the game from here.
Back at centre bounce. Mossop and Rendell. Rendell wins it. Steele comes in, taken away from him. Rendell kicks off the ground. In front, Schimmelbusch. Beautiful pick up that time by Law. Out wide it goes to Spargo. Spargo looks for Arsieri. Arsieri, who's got a wonderful pair of hands for a little man, marks very well. Takes another mark, sends it downfield. In front, Graham Osborne looking very good. Played on when he should have gone back. Bill Loken, nice football. Straight to Schimmelbusch, and Captain Courageous takes it well.
Tremendous courage. In fact, there was no one there, but you're not to know that when you're backing back. The kidneys are very vulnerable. German, free kick. Just behind the wing. 26 minutes gone in the quarter. Fitzroy's quarter, 6 goals to none. Roos again, supreme. Steele, trip, free kick. True centre wing. And North absolutely must get a goal before three-quarter time, I believe, to have a chance of winning it. Poor kick, up and down almost on the one spot, and Paul Roos loves those.
Mark number 11, kick number 16. Got the perfect ability to know when to go for the mark and when to spoil. Sends it very long downfield. Mossop front position, pushed out, I thought. Umpire agrees, and the free kick goes to John Mossop. High in the air, another battle. Roos from behind, punches it away from McCann. In front is Steele. German. Awkward bounce. Graham Osborne, been a very capable player in this third term, played Arsieri. Pulled when not in possession, pulled again. And I would think it must be a free kick to Arsieri. And the tiny man, with tons of talent, comes in for his 16th kick, wide out on the outside half-forward flank.
Much too far out to score, one would imagine, into the breeze. They're kicking them from the 50-metre line at the other end, so interesting to make a comparison here. He kicks from a metre outside and lands about 7 or 8 short. And that's North Melbourne's second score for the quarter. They've kicked 2 minors, and in the meantime, Fitzroy have kicked 6 goals 5 to take a stranglehold.
There's another South Australian in Duthie. Bill Loken, a South Australian, who served Fitzroy so well. Over the top it goes. Pekin, Holmes. Pekin slips at the crucial moment. Holmes is tripped. A professional one. They're pulling back into line. He'll have to come back and take his free kick. Off he goes. Umpire says no, go back and take the kick at the point where it was awarded. Dale Holmes kicking into the breeze, and it doesn't go very far. Great leap from behind by Osborne. Underneath at Loken. Out to Thornton. He's thumped down. Underneath at Conlon. Chancellor bounces favourably for Mickey. All could have been against you, Schimmelbusch. Out to Loken. On to Pekin is brilliant. Pekin across it goes, the lovely pass. There's the siren. And at three-quarter time, Fitzroy 14 goals, 892. Are leading North Melbourne 6-10.
7 goals in the first quarter. North Melbourne 5 in the second. And then Fitzroy 6 in the third, with only 2 goals being kicked at the non-scoring end, and the Roos coming home with the advantage in the last term. But their score is doubled at three-quarter time, 92 to 46. And that's a huge margin to make up. Very difficult to cut down an 8-goal advantage. Final term, North Melbourne going from left to right with the aid of the wind and requiring a monumental effort to overturn a 46-point deficit. And John Mossop gives them a good start with a decisive thump, but a push in the back by Peter German gives the free kick to Blakey, and Fitzroy will have first use of the ball in the last term. Lions and the Roos both with 1 win in the first 2 weeks, and it looks like Fitzroy notching up their second, but a way to go yet. Graham Osborne, fine third quarter after coming off the interchange. His brother Richard, the chance. Allison Good tackle from Osborne. And Allison contesting hard, finally forcing a ball up.
And the breeze has freshened. It's even stronger now. It's its strongest for the night, so the task is not impossible. It's highly improbable at this stage, but it's a very, very firm assisting breeze. There's the flags waving at the top of VFL Park. Here comes Crocker. Crocker down to centre wing. Guess who in front? Roos. His new opponent is Fairley for about the third time. Picked up there and driven downfield by Smith. Underneath it, a great effort by Holmes. Blakey again kicks them out of danger. Taken nicely by Schimmelbusch. He's got lots of time to give it out to Phil Cracker. Back to Schimmelbusch. He's about the 50-metre mark as he kicks for goal. Underneath it, Hinchin, and he's quite content to let it go through for one behind. Thought he could have taken that mark, and he almost made an error of judgment.
Yes.
Tremendous hand pass by Cracker then to Schimmelbusch.
Yes, that's right. They're fantastic when they're running, North Melbourne.
Duthie places that beautifully. Thornton, Pekin to the wing. Big leap from Allison, but to no effect. Loken, good player. Richard Osborne. Danger here for North. Keane. At half forward, but a long way from goal. 60 metres out into the wind. Well placed. Barwick. Inside 50 metres. But even for the long kicking, Douglas Barwick, a testing shot. Now this will be a really interesting one. Where's your money, Bernie?
I'd say make the distance here, Tim.
He's kicked 4, and I think this might just about break North Melbourne's spirit. From 45. We'll pay you an even money for that. Went 5 to 1 had he got the goal.
You'll never get it. You'll never see it, Fern, I'll warn you. Well, out of bounds, and it's a long time since we've seen a half-forward flank. Takes it, turns away, can give it out to Graham Osborne, which he does. Gives a long running lead and takes a splendid mark. And here's Barwick. Barwick picks up and misses.
Well, there's a hamstring.
And is it always a hamstring or the cramp?
No, he's okay, I think. He's had a couple of chances to seal the match, though, Doug Barwick, in the first few minutes of the last quarter.
Sure as a dynamo.
Allison. North have got to move it long and directly. Crocker. Well, that's not terribly direct. Dwyer held. Free kick to the neat wingman, who's had a pretty good night tonight. Holmes in front. Crocker again. Fitzroy there in numbers. Conlon explodes. Scott. Stevenson for North. Cumbersome. Helped on his way by Richard Osborne. And a throw in the forward pocket for Fitzroy. 10,043 people here at the start of round 3. And it looks as though they're going to see a Fitzroy victory.
John Mossop against Mark Scott. Mossop won it very easily, then looked to hand pass and couldn't find anybody. Barwick dived at it. Mossop then tumbled on top of Barwick, actually. And we'll find umpire Ross Castle will bounce it again. John Mossop looking around, hasn't got any feel for where his rovers are at all. Down it comes towards Smith. Picked up by Spargo. Left footer comes downfield from Allison. In front, the mark is nicely taken by Demetrio. Faded out in the third term. Played a good first half, did Andrew. 15-metre against Graham Osborne. Demetrio to the centre. Round. Oh, Allison, you're a bit slow there. Plenty of time here for Crocker. Tries to get it across to Dwyer. Taken away from him. Now he's got the chance and breaks away. Hand passes back to Demetrio. His kick is smothered. Well played, Fitzroy. Diving on it, Loken. And another North Melbourne attack thwarted by very strong defensive football.
Pats on the back for Ross Thornton. Diving across the boot when a strong attack looked to be forthcoming. Fitzroy's method fairly clear in this last quarter. Grapple, tackle, block, check. And they're doing it nicely in the first 6 minutes. Fairly a good palm, but no one there for it. Roos. Fairly again. Line kick. Oh, collision. Danger. Holmes. McCann, but oh, good defence again. Doothy. Full of desperation, forcing the throw-in.
My word, Hinchin's never heard of fear.
He's a new Norfolk boy, and they're pretty tough out that way, Douglas.
Because they can't spell down there. In comes Steve McCann to do battle with Rendell. Rendell won it very easily. Out to Blake, out to Armstrong. Armstrong very wide. The chances there for Brett Stevens has had a pretty miserable night. Ross Smith is running in away from him and eventually pushes it over the line out of bounds. Centre wing position, all saving time for the leading Fitzroy. 6.5 minutes gone in the final term.
Just one behind to each team. North making no impact at all. Mossop nicely to Demetrio, but can't afford that one fumble. And a ball up results when the chance was there for a breakaway. It's a nice bit of ruck work from the ginger-haired Mossop from the wine-growing country out near Coonawarra. Great interception, McIver. Richard Osborne. Nothing there for Fitzroy, but the boundary line will do. And that's what they've got, courtesy of a fumble from Stevenson.
Yes, with Crocker there to assist him, they had a wonderful chance, and there's a puzzled, bemused John Kennedy, the man with the largest voice in league football. Mossop in front. He's driven valiantly. Steele might have given away a free. Kicked off the ground by Harris. His kick landed over the white line. And the free kick, or was it over? No, the boundary umpire said no, it wasn't. So it'll be thrown in on the outer half forward flank with Fitzroy in attack and kicking into the breeze.
46 points the margin. And a very poor start to this quarter from North Melbourne. Oh, there's a high tackle. Darren Steele takes the free. Between back pocket and half back. 10th kick only. Goes long. But again, along that wing, they're not centering the ball. Armstrong. Roos. Well played. Armstrong puts Fitzroy into attack. Keane. Loken. Barwick the target. Spargo wearing him, but well done, Barwick. Law. North on the defensive when they really should be attacking. Keane, a great second grabber. His opponent, Arceri, is the smallest out there, but good ball control by Keane. Loken. Thornton up from defence now. Good centering pass. Scott, 30 metres out and even into the wind. This is a great scoring opportunity. And Fitzroy dominating this final quarter against the flow of the game.
Unusual habit to throw the ball to the ground and be picked up by the man who gave it to him, Thornton, so well.
Sea of streamers, hoping to disconcert Scott. Going for his second, and that's a good kick. And so it's all over now. Fitzroy have kicked the first goal of the quarter at the 9.5-minute mark, and they lead by 52 points.
It's good play from Billy Logan, gets a handball over to Ross Thornton. A couple of North Melbourne players converged on him, but he kept a cool head, and an excellent pass to Mark Scott, who made a good lead.
Well, David Parkin must feel very confident because he's just taken Barwick off the ground, and he'll obviously just a little bit worried about that leg injury from his star forward, and thinks the lead is big enough, I guess. He can always bring him back. There's McIver fighting for it. Oh, it's across it goes towards Richard Osborne. Played a good term here. Awkward bounce, unlucky bounce for Crocker. Out to Law. Law's got lots of time to send it downfield. Holmes and Graham Osborne, and Graham Osborne looks good. Bernie Quinlan said this to me last week. He said the young brother can play as well, and certainly he's been very good. Roos for his 28th possession. Sent it out towards centre wing position. Nice mark in front, taken by Stevens. Stevens about centre wing position. Out it goes to Roos, who's working towards his 30 possessions. In front, Not a good effort by Scott. Leon Harris looks to give a hand pass. Cross it goes to Pekin. This might be a goal, I think. Ken Hinkley. That's one that we could have kicked ourselves. Lovely cooperative team football from Fitzroy.
Yeah, great stuff, Fitzroy forwards. Probably 3 players could have raffled it there, and in the end they made sure of it with a long handball over to the goal square. Leon Harris, he probably could have had a shot for goal. Look for Tim Pekin. Tim Pekin always wanted to give a handball on over to Ken Hinkley. And that's just about the sealer, I'd say, gentlemen.
Yes. All over bar the shouting, I think. Doug Barwick can go for a shout.
He's warming up again. He's got the chance of kicking his 3rd bag of 5.
Yeah.
And he probably doesn't want to miss out. Doesn't mind a goal, Bernie.
No, he's a great player, Doug Barwick.
58 points the margin. At half-time it was 7. And in the second half, Fitzroy have kicked 8 goals and the Roos have not kicked 1. Mossop to half-board, but speaking of Roos, this one has just about taken on the 18 that are in blue and white, and he's won. Thornton. Free kick. It's against John Law for infringing on Leon Harris. And Harris take it, his last visit to this ground.
Surely he could have let advantage go there, Tim. No reason to pull that back, surely.
13th kick to Harris. I was about to say his last trip here for a day game, or a game for not premiership points, but a real game as opposed to one in the night competition. Was a bad one for him when he was reported, suspended, and missed the preliminary final.
Nice leap by Crocker there in front of Keane, who's a good mark. Keane took 10 marks for Fitzroy last week, which is a big assignment. Very good kick of Crocker's centering, looking for Fairley. Fairley from behind took it. 2 strong opponents. First time that Paul Roos has been outmarked. He chose not to,
a share of it too.
Chose not to punch. Yes, I think he does too. Out wide it goes, looking for Stephen McCann. Whoa! Strong bump. Nice play, Doothie. Out to Hinchin. Hinchin can go on and on and on. Nobody coming to meet him. He can keep on going. Doesn't do it. Kicks it long. Right downfield, and running with the flight of the ball is Richard Osmond. Tackled by Law. Picked up nicely there by Smith. Then he kicks it back towards centre wing position. McIver's got the run of it. Demetrio loses it. Arsiri tackled when not in possession. And the free kick will go to the little man about centre wing position. Outer side of the ground. Not to sell the kick to. Nobody with inside, so he kicks it straight to Roos. Well played Fairley to spoil him from the side. David Dwyer. Dwyer down the full forward zone. Steve McCann's behind and marks. Misses it. Goes on. Gets a beaut bounce. Twists and turns. Left foot snap. Hooks it through. Well played, Stephen. That's his 3rd. And there's a lot of bulk there, but for the bulk, there's a lot of agility and athleticism. Well played, McCann.
Yeah, he made a bit of heavy work of it in the end, Doug, because
should have
Dwyer's kick again. Yeah, he was in good position to take the mark. He completely put Doothie out of business. And in the end, he misjudged it rather badly, but he was good enough to recover and swing around on that left foot.
The old one we used to say butterfingers if you missed them like that.
14 minutes gone, and that's North's first goal since before half-time. Arsiri. Missed by Fairley. McCann again. A lot of pressure. Gone. McIver. Loken. And Fitzroy putting it together just so much better. Stevenson the spoiler. Conlon looking for his 4th. High tackle. No. Looked high to me, and it looks even higher the way he's holding his head. Richard Osmond. Was he held? No, he wasn't. Stevens. Stevens again. And this doesn't look too good for North because Paul Roos drifting up the ground. See Scott.
Just going back to that Mick Conlon incident, that's the same thing as we saw last week when Brian Wilson had his head down over the ball and he was bumped rather severely as we saw him was carried off. I think the umpires must look at this situation where the player has got his head over the ball and the opposition player comes in and bumps him and hits him in the head, which is rather dangerous.
Good kick from Scott. And that move with Parkins during the third term to bring him into the action has really paid off in spades. He's kicked 3 goals, and Fitzroy just marching away with this one.
That bump would have hurt too, Bernie. That was John Law, who's one of the best, I suppose, the best man in delivering a bump in the league.
I can't work out why they don't pay that.
Yes, I agree with you entirely. It's dangerous.
Here's Mick again with his head down over the ball. Oh, yes.
I'm sorry, it was Smith. I thought it was Johnny Law.
It was Smith, and if that wasn't worth a free kick, I'll go for Tiggy.
It was Smith who ran into Brian Wilson.
Yeah, that's right.
In the centre of the ground, out wide open spaces, and streaming after it is Conlon again. Looks for a hand pass and did it very well, and slick play Keane. On to Matthew Armstrong from about 60 metres out, centres it, and not a good leap there by Stevens, picked up by Smith. Off it goes to Dwyer. Dwyer kicks it out towards centre wing position, and in front is Brett Allison. Outmanoeuvres his opponent Osborne. Osborne tackled him too late, and the free kick will go to Allison. Get away, says Steele. Richard won't take that sort of punishment. And Allison now, his 8th kick. Kicks it downfield. Roos goes the punch this time and did it brilliantly. Nicely picked up by Steele, and then ran straight into McIver.
Penalised.
Over the line he went.
Holding the ball against him. And Doug Barwick likes the look of it.
Scoring Popeye.
Why not? 4 goals, and his team 58 points in front. Harris, Cracker having a run. He's obviously still not 100% fit. Has just had a couple of runs up the ground. Dwyer looking more like his father every day. Now a chance, Fairley centering it nicely. Duthie, Hinchin getting better as the match wears on. Roos, Harris playing the short game now. Not so well though. And it bounced just inside for a throw-in. 41 Fitzroy centuries against North Melbourne. Something any Test batsman would be delighted.
Yeah, just on 10 goals the difference. And Roos has had about 30 possessions and 14 marks, is my guess at this stage. Here comes Keane again. Kicks beautifully with his left foot. Look at that. Off it goes again. He's been perfect with that. Armstrong downfield. Osborne should have held that one. Taken by Allison behind him through through Osborne's miss. Lots of time for German. Out to the flank it goes. Hand pass from Spargo. Here comes Demetrio. Hinchin overruns it, then regains it, then runs into more trouble in the person of Holt. And let's see, was the tackle too high?
Free kick to Hinchin, yes.
Yes, it is. Hinchin. Wouldn't be many better back pockets. Out to Graham Osborne. How much time? Look, he can go and go again. Nobody near him. Then drives it, looking for Leon Harris. Not a good one, actually. And the mark is taken by Steele.
Brought down after marking. And the inevitable 15. Brings him into attack, but only just. Poor old wobbly punt kick. Hinchin, almost. Blakey. Graham Osborne. And North just not there in this quarter. This really has been their worst quarter of the match. Hinkley the knock-on. Hinkley again. Camperdown kid. Hooks it high. And effectively to Richard Osborne. And that might be 15.
Oh, that's got to be 15, Tim. Surely, yes. Silly play by Stevenson.
Very sloppy. I don't think he really intended it, but he just didn't control his momentum as he came in to check Osborne and made an awful mess. Osborne's 14th kick from 35 metres out. He's kicked 1 goal, and he has kicked 2. And Fitzroy in this final term, into the wind, have kicked 4 goals to North Melbourne's 1.
And it was very strange to see that there was only one North Melbourne player waiting in the square there for that kick by Osborne. So pretty poor defensive work by North Melbourne.
Yes, it's been, I think, the forwards of Fitzroy who played so well.
Simply, yes, down to Osborne.
Nobody at home there either, Byrne, was there?
No, that's right.
In the centre, look at Thornton, through like a bullet. and he boots them into attack again with a great pass. Oh, that's exciting football. On it goes. Mickey Conlon's chance. Picks it on, muffs it. Schimmelbusch attacks him. Conlon goes on. Off they go. Down goes Conlon from one around the head again. Back at Cumden. He's really feeling dizzy, I think. And eventually it's picked up by Spargo, who puts it out to the boundary line, and Steele gets it. Off they go. Short passing along the line.
Allison to half forward, but there's Mr. Roos again. Watches it over.
He's had a bad night. He's getting lazy. He's only had 32 possessions.
21 minutes gone in the last term. And the margin a whopping 64 points. And who would have thought this at half-time? Bernie, remember that day? 34-16, 220. I think Matt Rendell kicked about 8.
That's right, he did. He played on Gary Dempsey that day, and he led him a merry dance.
Siri. McCann coming late on the scene, now wins it. Holmes spraying it. Gets it behind. And even behind's looking fairly good in that North Melbourne score, 7-12. And they had 6-8 at half-time. They've kicked 1 goal 4 to 10 goals 6 since the long interval.
Yes, they've had a mixed-up season in their first 3 games. 1 good win, 2 bad losses. That's too easy. McIver. Not a good kick. He normally kicks it so for Roos, of course. And it's over the line out of bounds with North in attack. But a very, very unconvincing night for the Northerners. They haven't got any money to buy any fresh players, and they've got to make do with what they've got. Phil Cracker. Law runs into him, kicks it downfield. Thornton beautifully in front. Blakey's there to assist him. There he is. Hello.
Oh, Phil's in trouble. Phil Cracker's, I don't know what's the matter with him, but he's in a bit of pain at the moment.
Copped it from Law, I think, his teammate, did he, as Law went crashing through. German in hard. Another ball up.
They may as well take him off, I guess.
Yeah, he looks like he's caught one on the hip, which is a pretty painful spot.
Hopefully not too serious. They still haven't lined up with both Phil and Jim in the side in 3 matches. And they really need them to be at their best, because those two just seem to generate so much. Loken. Keane up against 2, and that was a great mark by Gary Keane. And away he goes. Brilliant stuff. Conlon, can they cap it off? It deserves a goal. Inside 50. The goal shark slams it through. You beauty. Conlon's 4th, but full marks Gary Keane. He was the architect. That was brilliant.
Oh, fantastic mark, Gary Keane.
What extraordinary pace, Bernie, for a big fella.
I didn't know Gary Keane had that pace, actually.
Look at this, he runs away from Mossop.
Yeah, he runs away. I suppose Johnny Mossop's not the fastest player in the league, but still Gary Keane showed a ton of pace there, and if Mick knows that there's a chance for a goal, he'll make sure that he's moving pretty quickly too.
Back in the centre. Scott's on the ball. Mossop there is with him. There goes McIver and boots them into attack again from behind. Over the back it was Conlon. Nicely picked up by Crocker. Lost it. Loken in trouble, but gets his kick under pressure. Armstrong. Or was it Pekin? It was Pekin. Over the back past Conlon. Kicks it off the ground away from Spargo. Smith goes downfield. Here comes Conlon again. He's pretty weary. And eventually a tired Smith gets it out wide, and it's Crocker. And something's happened behind the play. Players allowed to go on. There's Crocker in possession. Here comes Thornton. Thornton now will kick from 60 metres out. The pass is good. And pushed out with Fitzroy. Law gets it. Law kicks out wide, and Armstrong can't reach it before it's over the line, out of bounds.
Well, Phil Cracker feeling pretty poorly at the moment. Dejection personified.
What a miserable season it's been for the famous brothers.
Stevenson the climber, Law the thumper. But the umpire, eventual winner in it all. To ball it up, we're in time on in the last quarter. Fitzroy home and hosed, leaders by 69 points after being just 7 in front at quarter time. And who can work out this North Melbourne team, which seems to run so hot and cold? Scott, didn't look like it. Blakey, back to Scott from the centre. Lovely looking kick. Hinkley on the 50-metre line, getting a few grabs in the last term after a patchy 3/4. And too easy. Rendell, 30 metres out directly in front. And really, this last term has been an embarrassment for North Melbourne. They've had 5 goals kicked against them at the non-scoring end to 1. And quite remarkable to see a Kennedy coach team apparently turn it up. Rendell kicks handsomely. His first for the night. 6 against the wind to Fitzroy in this last quarter. And the margin 75 points.
And hasn't it been one-way traffic all this second half, and it's all been all Fitzroy's way. I thought it was the wind doing it in that third quarter, but really the last quarter they've just carried on as they did at the end of the third quarter, and it's been a very impressive performance by the Fitzroy side.
Yes, they seem to be completely undermanned in defence at this stage to North Melbourne. Mossop still fighting strongly. German. Bad luck for John Holt that time. Fairley's got it, hits it off the ground and quite cleverly out to German. German across to Holt. Holt juggling it. Hinchin goes over the top and accidentally trips him. And Hinchin says, oh, fair go. Look.
He's going crook, but the free was there, definitely.
Yep. Whether it's accidental or not, it's a trip. Graham Hinchin takes out his mouth guard to make his point more firmly. John Holt limping back, actually, with the left footers on a very difficult angle. One of the nicest kicks, one of the best kicks in league football is John Holt. But it's on the wrong side for a left footer as well, so the angle will test him severely, even though he's only about 30 metres out. Holt tries to kick North's 8th goal and just misses. And this is winding up into a very, very miserable night for the North Melbourne camp, 29 to 7:30.
Duthie's had a difficult night. Harris, half-forward flank for North. They've kicked 1 goal 5 since half-time, when they really looked as if they were right in the match. McCann the thump down, but nothing made of it at ground level. Harris back towards the wing. Crocker, Mr. Sitter. Well, they've really lost their confidence, dropped their bundles in this final term. And it's a pity. They've got a free kick out of this, though.
Yeah, out on the full tip.
Well, there it is. It's all over anyway. So a huge victory to Fitzroy. 74 points the final margin. Their major goal kickers were Barwick and Conlon with 4 each. Scott kicked 3, Richard Osborne 2, with singles to Roos, Rendell, Loken, Keane, Harris and Hinkley. And for North Melbourne, 3 to McCann and singles to Holt, Fairley, Steele and Cracker. Fitzroy 2 wins from 3 games. North Melbourne 1 from 3. Very good night.
Yeah, I was very, very happy tonight. I had a fairly ordinary one last week against St Kilda, so I was really looking forward to make amends tonight, and I was happy the way I went, yes.
Tremendous second half by the team. After the match looked fairly well balanced.
Yeah, we had a good first quarter and then had a bit of a lapse in the second quarter, and you know, got back into it in the second half and kicked a lot of goals, and the forwards moved around, and I thought we looked quite good, actually.
Well, coaches aren't given to getting too carried away with praise, but I think David Parkin might be reasonably happy with that performance. Am I mistaken?
It was one of our better ones, I suppose, even in the last 6 months. I think despite a deplorable second quarter, which I think was in our hands more than it was the work, which I might be wrong there, but I thought that we, in fact, just lifted the accelerator a bit, tried to do a little bit too much, slow in getting the hand past the way, hanging onto the ball too long before we delivered with our feet, and in fact made, in those circumstances, some dreadful errors, which North were quick enough to take up and score very heavily against us. And I was bitterly disappointed with the second quarter effort. It was one of our worst, but I think the other 3 quarters, the players should be commended for the amount of work they did and the even